Welcome to 5 Ways to Unleash Your Superpowers with LinkedIn. I am Angela Pitter, the founder and CEO of Livewire Collaborative, and I will be your instructor for the next 30 to 40 minutes. A little bit about me. I founded this business in 2012 when I worked with business owners and executives, corporations, as well as nonprofits to really help them understand their online footprint and to connect and collaborate and convert their target audience. Some of my services include digital marketing strategy and assessment, but my favorite thing to do is training. And I do like to work with corporate as well as executive coaches, helping them to establish their brand. In particular, my favorite tool is LinkedIn. And that is why we are here today. I've trained over thousands of individuals, business owners, and executives on how to use LinkedIn to make their brand pop. And if you don't know me, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my QR code right here. And you can take a picture of this right now and be connected with me in seconds. So let's get started. What are we going to talk about today? And actually, before we get started, I do want to thank Nesby for inviting me back. I feel like I've been part of Nesby probably for 40 years now, from my days in college, starting at Boston University. And I'm really excited to be here today and to really talk to you again about my favorite topic, LinkedIn. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about 5 ways. And the 5 ways are how you're going to tell your story with your photos, your voice, your headline, your about statement, and as well as there's a section now called featured. But of course, as always, there's going to be some bonus topics. I'm going to show you how to also use projects and publications to make you stand out and separate you from the crowd, as well as skills and getting that right so that you're now searchable and people can find you and building out your SEO. And of course, as always, I'm going to leave you with some homework. So let's just ground everybody here on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is indeed the first social network founded in 2003. Facebook came after that. Twitter came after Facebook. So LinkedIn has been around for a minute, but they didn't really get their legs until Microsoft bought them in 2016. And then now growing leaps and bounds with over 740 million members across the globe. You can see here where everybody is. North America isn't even the largest constituency, but mainly why you're on LinkedIn is because guess what? All the corporations that you would want to work with or work for are on LinkedIn. And all those thought leaders and influencers and decision makers are also on LinkedIn. So how are we going to use LinkedIn? So first tip is you're going to tell your professional story. And you're going to do that by establishing your brand. And these are the 3 key components: the photo, the headline, and that about statement. Then there's all these other areas of your profile, and some of them you're going to be familiar with because it almost resembles your resume. You're going to have your past experiences. You're going to have some skills sections, education. Recommendations are key. And when you do all of the above, so basically have at least 3 positions, at least 5 skills, at least 3 recommendations, you're going to get that all-star profile. LinkedIn's going to give you that indicator that you're good to go. But extra credit is like literally 22 sections that you can update on your LinkedIn profile. And we're going to talk about publications and projects. So those are one of those key areas that are overlooked. So first things first, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So you want to make sure you are taking advantage of having a good photo on LinkedIn. And in fact, LinkedIn's own data says that with a profile photo, you're going to get 21 times more views, 36 times more messages, and 9 times more connection requests. So you have to have a good photo. But this is not your friends and family platform, right? It's not Facebook. So you just do want to have a photo by yourself, not you and the BFF, not you and the cat or the dog, just a photo, a professional headshot. Love this one, nice clean background. And there's a rule that I've made up: fill the frame with your face. So you really just want the headshot right to the top of your shoulders is all you really need. But the other more important photo, or I should say as important, is the background. And so many people don't take advantage of this opportunity. Just think of it as like the big billboard when you're driving down the highway, 70 miles an hour. What are those three things you want them to get? And they're speeding away. So what are those things you kind of want them to kind of sink into their brain as they're driving away? So it could just be a nice photo of, a scenic photo. You could do something like that. Or, if you want to, if you're getting ready to graduate, you want to maybe put your major up there, marketing and business management. Just throw that up there. Again, you can have something more creative around engineering in this case, if you like to. But if you're in corporate, you may want to, list this, have those keywords: corporate trainer, advisor, talent management, workforce development. So again, what are those skills and talents that you bring to the table? And again, the other thing is, if you're a thought leader, influencer, you may also want to have something more profound as your background here, as we got Q Harrison. So these are a couple examples of how you can just take that space and make it great. Now, here's some ideas. Your office, you can think about your products, your services. What is it, around your company's identity, especially if you're the business owner. Credentials, achievements, any awards, if you have 40 under 40, 30 under 30, whatever it is that you received, you want to include those as well. I like action backgrounds as well. Pictures, if you're thinking about speaking, you may want to have pictures of you speaking in front of an audience. And if you're a nonprofit, it may be something around your mission statement that you want to include as part of your background. So here's 5 ideas that you can just get started with right away. So now the other part is, how do you tell your story with your voice? This is a new feature that just came out in 2020, and it really was developed for people with complicated names, complicated meaning in terms of pronunciation, so that you're able to pronounce it so people can then just click on that audio icon and hear how your name is pronounced, so that when you're reaching out to them, you pronounce it correctly. Now, here's the thing. One, you can only do this on mobile. So you can listen to it on your desktop, but you have to create it with the mobile app. The other thing is they give you 10 seconds. So with 10 seconds, you could do a lot. So you can typically say a lot more than just your name. So I'm going to share an example here with Alice Hyman, and you can see she's in sales, so you can imagine what that is going to sound like. So let's just listen to her hopping over to LinkedIn right now, and we can check out Alice's profile and listen to what she has to say.
Hey, it's Alice Hyman, and I can't wait to talk to you about how together we can build a world-class sales organization.
So let's listen to that.
Hey, it's Alice Hyman, and I can't wait to talk to you about how together we can build a world-class sales organization.
Wonderful. And then we're going to hear Dr. Novalis.
Dr. Rashana Novelis.
Right. So again, it could just be your name, or it can be your entire name and plus a little bit of a pitch. So let's continue. Now, how do you stop the scroll? So think about it. The photos are what I call above the fold. So when you land on somebody's LinkedIn profile, the first thing you see are those 2 photos, the profile photo and the background. But there's also the headline. So you want to stop them right there. You don't want them to swipe off your profile. So this is unfortunately what happens a lot of times. People's titles become their headline. And one of the reasons this happens is when you add the experience to your profile, there's this little box that's checked. You actually need to uncheck that box. So if you leave it checked, what it does is, what it says in tiny font is that this headline, this title will become your headline. And you don't want your title to be your headline. You're so much more than a title, right? So if I do a search here on engineering manager, you can see engineering at Dell, director of engineering, engineering manager, engineering leader. That tells me nothing. There's probably 500 million engineers on LinkedIn. So how do you separate yourself from the pack? So the things you want to think about is who, what, and how. So who do you work for? Like what type of industry or what is your ideal client? What do you offer? And then how are you different from anybody else? So if you look at these 4 examples here, starting with D, again, founder, mobile app, and what does the app do? Then of course, a lot of us aren't one trick pony. So in addition to having an app, she's also a career strategist. She's a staffing advisor. She's a speaker. Again, if you're looking for speaking engagements, this is a great way to broadcast that, as well as you're interested in, if you have something like a podcast, you're always looking for guests. So you want to say, I'm a podcast host right in the headline. Now, if you look at the doctor here, again, humanitarian, tech star. So this is kind of like what we call is a keyword type of headline. If you think about D is more client-facing type of headline. This is keyword, which means it's literally a series of keywords: humanitarian, tech star, keynote speaker, again, LinkedIn top voice. So again, if there's any accolades, awards, whatever, include that in the headline as well. So some of them, and it don't have to be, it could be a little bit more cleaner, like Heidi here, vision driven innovator, again, keynote speaker. D&I, a lot of folks are looking for D&I. Think about those keywords that are really popular that are searchable. Marilyn over here, diversity in STEM, data and automation manager, MBA candidate. So again, if you're working in corporate, but also working on your MBA, put that in there. VP of Nestle Boston. So all of those good things you can include in your headline. So again, you have 220 characters. So you really want to think about what's the why. Why you versus everybody else? Who do you help? And what are the outcomes that you can deliver? So some things you want to think about. Again, I go back to the accomplishments and the awards, keywords, whatever those popular keywords in your industry. So if they were just going to Google a couple of keywords, are you going to come up with the search? And don't be afraid to inject some personality. Emojis okay, just don't overdo it. So kind of bringing all of this together. Phil, prior client of mine, when we started, he had no background. You can see that the photo's a little dated. He had the title was definitely there instead of a real headline. So with just a little bit of change, look at this, right? So he's a college instructor. He used the college campus as the background, updated the photo, and added a really attractive headline: educator, public speaker, sales consulting, helping teams exceed quota with my proprietary active listening training. So again, that's his secret sauce. So that's the things you want to think about. What am I doing? Who am I doing it for? And how am I doing it differently? Okay, so now I want to switch over to part 4. Part 4 is where you get to tell your story, what you're branded about. It's a little bit similar to the headline and thinking about the what I do, the why I do it, the who you do it for. But the difference is the headline, you only have 220 characters. With the about statement, you have 2,600 characters. So now you really get to tell your story, share your journey, especially if you've been in business or you've been in corporate a long time. You probably wore a lot of different hats. You have a lot of stories to tell, but you have to weave it together and connect the dots. You know what? Don't let people connect your story together. You do the work, right? So again, back to Phil, his about statements are basically a repeat of the resume. Cut and paste, threw it in there. There's nothing that's attractive here, nothing that's going to stop the scroll. So you have to work on it. And one of the things you can do is kind of think about these different categories, these 6 categories. It will help you. And I say prepare the raw content. So literally take your resume, take your bios, take anything you have that was written about you or things that you wrote and put it all together in these different buckets, right? So you have the victories, what are those really significant accomplishments, the values, the passions, what are your superpowers? Think about those things that people only come to you for, right? And the vital statistics is anything you can quantify, right? So, you saved the company 100 million, you made the company 100 million. So anything you can quantify. What makes you different is that verb, the little quirkiness about you. And finally, the validation. If you're a business owner, those testimonials, those reviews are great. Include all of that. So back to Phil, right? So we updated that. Again, this is the top of the fold. When we go into the about, we're now starting to scroll down somebody's profile. So look at this, so he's telling his story. Again, he's someone who's been in business for a long time throughout my 20 plus career. So he's already starting to talk about including those vital statistics, right? So, he didn't just show up on the scene. He's been around, he has lots of experience, right? And he talks about like the different roles. Again, financing, senior lending officer, launched a real estate and consulting practice. So right away, he kind of shares sort of the breadth of his experience. But then he starts talking about right away what he's doing right now today, right? So now he's talking about his superpowers, right? Inaugural teacher for the Europe Sales and Customer Service Program, right? Students love this series because it provides examples which demonstrate they can succeed. The series was so successful, we open it up to the entire college. So again, superpowers, right? Today, I also consult and provide workshops to sales teams across industries. Recently, I offered an active listening drive sales seminar at an international bank in Napa, California, right? And then the numbers, remember the vital statistics, raised 3.6 million debt, executed sales program delivering 22% close rate, right? And then sort of the testimonials the validation, talking about those big companies. So if you work currently at any Fortune 500, 150, Fortune 10, definitely list those companies where you've worked at that, are named, people understand. Aetna Life and Casualty, One United Bank. And then finally, at the very end, there's two things you're going to do. At least have a call to action. So if they actually stayed on your profile all this time, you got to give them something to do. So call me, email me, connect with me on LinkedIn, whatever it is. I know sometimes you may not want to include emails on your profile because you don't want, recruiters spamming you all the time, but think about what that call to action might be. The other thing you do is have a specialty section. He does not have this here, but you can add a specialty section right at the end. And again, those are all searchable keywords on ways people can find you. If we look at Aja, again, great headline here. And remember I talked to you about the background. If you like to speak, having you in action, this is her working. So you want to do something really, I like action backgrounds, right? But we look at her, again, vital statistic, starting with 15 years experience in engineering, right? And now she's talking about how she can apply that engineering career into now being an entrepreneur, right? And those valuable lessons she learned along the way, that she can indeed engineer a device to train tall plants to grow in small spaces, which she actually was recently awarded a patent for that. And then you can talk about other things like she's founding member of several organizations, and also support of other organizations. And again, she has that call to action here. Feel free to reach out to me via email. Ryan, again, even if you're a student, you can still do this. Ryan literally just actually graduated last year from BU. But if you look at what he wrote, I'm a senior at BU, currently studying mechanical engineering. He starts talking about his projects. All of you have projects that you've worked on and the experiences that he has with his project. He talks about his what are his club work. Currently, the chapter president. So even if you're not the president, but if you have some other leadership position, you definitely want to include that. And then he talks about even how the chapter has collaborated. Again, think about those key partners, that recognizable names like Google, Accenture. Those are the names that, again, if you're trying to get more visibility for your chapter, that's one way to do it. And then he did the skills section here. So he has, again, all of those keywords. And that, again, if you're programming, you want to put some of those, even if you're not programming, program's always a skill you want to highlight that you have, because that's transferable everywhere. And then finally, his call to action. Let's talk by email, and then he leaves it right there. So think about what you're going to say, right? What's your passion? Thinking about open up with a statement that's going to grab somebody's attention. Talk about your present role, even if you're in school, doesn't matter. What are you doing? Talk about your projects that you worked from. Connect the dots. I mean, if you've done a lot of different things, even as a student or in your career, try and weave it all together and tell the bigger story. Highlight those big successes, those big wins, and then share. Sometimes it's nice to share a little bit about your outside life. So if again, if you're for example, if you've led the Girl Scout troop, put that on there, because you never know, that might be the one thing that connects with somebody else on LinkedIn. And then the rich media, and I'm going to show you what that looks like next. So featured, again, this was always there, but now they sort of separated. So you used to be able to add media to that about section. They separated it out and now call it featured, and they made a couple of changes with that. So previously, you would be able to link to any content on the web, anything. If you were on a panel, if you were doing a workshop, whatever, you can link to anything. Recently got an award, or you can link to the program, and you could also upload media. So photos, documents, PDFs, PowerPoints, anything. Now what they did is they also allows you to also showcase your LinkedIn posts and your LinkedIn articles. And LinkedIn articles are basically a blog that you can do directly on LinkedIn. So if you have any great posts that are getting a lot of attention, you can then add that to save it to the featured section. So it's nice front and center, and it'll help you get more eyeballs on your content. So here's a couple of different examples. Again, you can see the links here. They link to something on the web, something again in the news, an award. So again, if you're getting an award, that's great. Articles on your blog, on your website, you can connect those in and share those. But this example down here is where they actually, in this case, it is a link. So they, link to their calendar. So if you're a business owner and you're a service provider, this is a great thing. People can book with you right away and include that in the feature section. But here's an article that she shared on LinkedIn, and added that article right here. And you can see it's getting lots of engagement, over 300 comments there, likes, and so forth. So that is how you can use the feature section. So think about it as showcasing your portfolio. That's how you're going to use it, right? So here's the homework for you guys. You're going to have to work on that about statement, right? Remember, you have 2,600 characters. Think about these things. Who am I? What's my value add? Make sure the cars, challenge, action, result. So don't just put in, I did whatever, or, don't put that type of statement there. You really want to put action statements out there. So what I came, I saw, I conquered. So what was the challenge? What was the action? What was the result? And then don't forget to include a call to action and even that specialty section. But finally, use that featured section to add all of the work you want to highlight. Now, skills. Think of this as all keywords. What are all of those keywords you want to be known for? So what LinkedIn does is any words, skills you already have on your profile that people have endorsed you for, it automatically sorts by the number of endorsements. So if you have 100 endorsements, 100, and they automatically become your top 3 skills. However, especially if you've been in corporate or you've been in business for a long time, you probably set up these skills way long time ago, and you've changed. Things have changed. So this is where you're going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and you're going to go in and look and make sure those top 3 are actually the top 3 skills you want to be known for. And then the rest of it is just going to default. So the rest of it is just going to default, and I'm going to show you in a second, but I want to highlight one thing before I show you. You as an engineer can take a skill quiz to demonstrate some of your skills. So they have a whole list when you go in there that you can demonstrate. For example, any Python might be in there. It even has office applications. And if you're in graphics design, it has, Adobe in there. So there's basically skills, software skills, and graphic tools type of skills are in there. And they keep adding new skills more and more that you can actually take the skill quiz for. So go in and take a look at that. However, what it does is it automatically takes the rest of your skills. So once it gets beyond those top 3, it takes everything else, and you can have up to 50 on your profile, and it organizes it automatically in these buckets. Now you can sort it and reorder it within the bucket, but you can't take out one from one bucket and move it to another bucket. So industry knowledge will automatically be created. And again, if you're in technology, you may think about some words like this. But also there's an interpersonal skills bucket. So again, if you've been in corporate for a while, or you're running on your own company, leadership, executive management, team building, think about all of those interpersonal skills. And then the final 2 buckets that, again, it's just like everything else. So other skills, tools and technology, and it just kind of dumps it in there. So what you want to do is, once you get all your skills cleaned up, especially if your top 3 are less endorsed, you want to reach out to folks, ask them to endorse you, and sharing is caring. So you want to endorse them, quid pro quo, make sure if you're asking to be endorsed that you also are endorsing people as well. So bonus. In addition to skills, here's the final bonus, the 3 Ps. And you guys could definitely fill out this section of the profile. It is so underutilized, and it's literally projects, publications, and patents. Those are the 3 Ps. And a lot of people use publications and projects interchangeably, but think about, publication as those keynote papers, keynote presentations, white papers, press releases, your blog posts. If you have a book, put the link to Amazon. Projects could be case studies, it could be courses, webinars, videos, podcasts. If you have a podcast series, you can throw that in there. Or sometimes people use publications and they put their podcast series there. But anything relevant that could be from way like a past life. I always like to tell clients, if you've been in, working 15, 20, 30 years in that experience section, kind of keep it, 10 to 15 years more current. But if there's something fabulous that happened way back when, throw that in the project section. So here's what it looks like, and by the way, it all falls under accomplishments. And notice there's also honors and awards. So if you have been receiving any awards, make sure you add that to that award section. But again, there's, all these lists, it'll give you, you're able to add a description here, and you're able to link to the project on the web, if that's applicable. The other thing you can do with both publications and projects, if there were co-authors, you can add them, and that's assuming you're connecting with them on LinkedIn. So you have to be connected to, and of course you can link that article. And it's the same thing with projects, just they call it other creators, but you can add them as well on LinkedIn. And finally, we have patents. So again, same thing. If there's several patent inventors, you can connect all of them under the patent. So let's just recap here. So the photos are a must-have, especially the professional photo. You definitely want to have that. But you know what? The icing on the cake is that awesome background. Make sure you remember, share all your talents right up front. Remember, the picture's worth 1,000 words. You want to have it. But then it goes into the branded headline. And again, you have to think about, how am I going to stop the scroll, right? So it's all going to be about, it's going to be, a series of keywords, but you need to also include how you help people, right? So even if you're a student, you're helping other students. So how do you help people? Include that there, right? Add your voice, use the voice recording, especially if you have a complicated name, put that there. But again, it's 10 seconds, so you have the opportunity to do a little bit more than that. the about statement. So similar to the headline, you're really now going into your story. You have 2,600 characters there, but don't forget about that call to action at the end. And if you want to really bring your profile to life, add some things to that portfolio to the featured section there. Remember, you could also link articles and posts there. But you really want to crank up that SEO, add the skills section, and showcase your talents with those 3 Ps. So if there's any burning questions, this is not live, but make sure you're leaving all those questions in the chat, and I'm definitely going to respond to them. But in closing, make sure you just get going, right? Complete your profile, add the media, the video samples to the feature section, build out your network. So connect with everybody, whether you're at school, at a company, or it's your own business. Make sure, especially if it's your own business, you're connecting with all your clients, you're engaging with them all the time on LinkedIn, so you stay top of mind. Add it to your email signatures. Add LinkedIn to your email signature so people can also connect with you. That's the easiest way to build out your network. And then if you have any more questions, definitely contact me. You can reach out to me, you can send me email, you can call me, you can check out my website. But I am launching a new course the end of April, or it might be the first week of May. Unleash the Hidden Power of LinkedIn, Attract, Build, Convert, a step-by-step course. I know I went through a lot of content, but in this class, every week, all of those sections that I just talked about, all of the 5 ways, we're going to go into all sorts of detail so that by the time you finish your course, you're going to literally go from 0 to hero and have a rocking LinkedIn profile. And if you haven't already, connect with me on LinkedIn. So thank you very much. Thank you, Nesby, once again for including me. Reach out to me on any of the social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter as Angela Pitter, Facebook or Instagram as Angela Pitter Speaks. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the conference.